This is the Milo Beasley Show. This is the Milo Beasley Show. There's only one thing you need to know. This is the Milo Beasley Show. And now, here's your host, Milo Beasley.
And welcome to the Milo Beasley Show. Dude, I'm super excited for our guest today. It's been a long time coming, and we finally have her here on the show. So please help me welcome at this time. If you've seen movies, if you've seen television shows, if you've seen pretty much anything, you've seen her. So please help me welcome our next guest, Siobhan Fallon Hogan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Milo. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm super stoked doing what I was, doing research on your new movie, Rushed.
Yes.
I found myself digging deeper into it and then loving everything about this movie. So let's get into it a little bit. So Rushed is a movie that you are starring in, but you also wrote, correct?
That's correct. It'll be August 27th in theaters. And Milo, it's going to be right near you in Kissimmee, Florida.
Yes, it's going to be at the SMG Sunset Walk. And that's for you Orlando folks like me. It's right in Margaritaville, the new Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville Resort. There's a movie theater there, so we can go hang out. There's a water park. Go do the water park and go.
Oh, that's awesome. So you won't be hot if you're in Florida when you go see it. You can get soaked and go see the movie. Yes, so the movie's crazy. It's a thriller, and we've been getting unbelievable reviews, and more theaters keep picking up across the country. Vertical Entertainment's releasing it. It's a thriller about a mom from upstate New York, which I'm from upstate. I have 3 kids. The mom has 4 kids, and she's like never wanted to be in the limelight. She never wanted to kind of get out of her comfort zone. And her kid goes off to college. She's kind of bugging him and calling him and saying, are things going okay? Like, how's it going rushing that fraternity? And she's helping him learn the pledge, and she's way too much. And then a funny woman is faced with horrific circumstances, and she's not so funny anymore. And she goes into a depression. But then what does a strong mom do but take action? And she tries to take the high road, and when things don't work, the mom goes toe to toe with the fraternity, and who's tougher, the mom or the fraternity? And that's when you kind of see that I'm just not the most normal person that ever wrote a movie, right, Milo?
Right. Oh man, the trailer looks insane. Like, I was like, yo, someone's about to get got. Like, this is a mom scorned.
That's what it says in the trailer. Hell hath no fury like a mother scorned. And, as a mom, I don't know how you were as a teenager, Milo, but you're hardly almost a teenager still. But, you lay in bed at night and you worry. But now when I was a kid, there was no cell phones. So If you said, hey, I'm going to be home at 1 and you weren't home at 1, your parents worried till half an hour later when you didn't come home. Now they go off to college and they have cell phones. And, most kids, are they going to answer their mother's text? Maybe, till about midnight. And then when they go radio silent, you worry, and you say to your kid, which is weird anyway. Why are you texting your kid in the middle of the night in college? You should let them be free. But listen, I'm guilty as charged too. So you're texting, and when you don't hear back, you can't sleep and your mind goes crazy. And it's just, this movie is about what I thought would be the craziest I could possibly go.
So how much of it, like you said, using the New York experience, but how much of your personal life did you use into this movie when writing it?
It was more my imagination and more listen, my kids are no goody goodies. I have 2 girls and a boy. And, I've sat at night, I've gone to their bedrooms and seen stuffed, blankets and phonies, and you want to kill them and chop their heads off. You're like, are you kidding me? But they didn't do anything. They didn't pull any tricks I didn't pull. And then you're one step ahead of them. And I have a bad temper anyway, because I'm Irish Catholic and I got the red hair. So my sisters are always like, you got that red hair, you're a little psycho. So I never took too kindly to someone crossing me, especially my kids anyway. It's like a mama bear. So It's kind of more the imagination of the mother. And then of course you read about all these horrible things that do happen, whether or not, it's the institution of a frat. I'm not anti-frat in any way. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not anti-sorority. I think any kid in any institution can be a bad apple. And so kids, what happens when you run into the bad apple?
Right. Now, what I really love, I think the thing that I love most about this new movie is that it is a family affair. This is the Emerald Cast Productions, the production company you and your husband, this is your first film.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's also a culmination of, I've been in this business for 30 years, and I called up Robert Patrick, one of my close friends from The Terminator and from, Walk the Line. He's been in every movie there is. And I said, Robert, I wrote this movie. He's a big deal. And I said, it's a low budget. Read it. He calls me, Siobhan, I'll do it. And, this paycheck is not what he's used to. Then Jake Weary, who I worked with when he was 19 years old.
Right. And
now
Fred.
He's completely taken off on Animal Kingdom. And I said, take a read and see if you want to play this frat boy. And so Jake Weary climbs on board. These guys are not used to making small paychecks.
Right.
So, and then Perry Gilpin, my good friend, she was in Frasier. She plays a mom in it. So, and then, I've done several movies in Europe with Lars von Trier in Denmark. And I sent the script over to them, and they said, Siobhan, we want to co-produce this with you because everyone really loved the script. I mean, Milo, it's like a miracle. Right. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I've been in a lot of movies. So, I knew how people wanted to be treated. I knew how I wanted to treat the crew. I knew how, if I was ever in control, and then I was, how I would treat everybody and how I would make a movie. So let's put it this way. I'm doing another movie a month after this opens. This opens August 27th. A month to the day, I'm shooting another movie. I have Robert Patrick's back in it. He's going to play my brother this time. And a lot of the crew's coming back. So, that's a compliment. If you treat your people well, they're going to come back. So,
absolutely. Yeah. So I had a question on how much say so in the casting you had. And it sounds like you did have a lot.
I cast all my friends. And then Amy Kaufman, who's a genius casting director, she filled in the holes. Amy Kaufman gave me my first real break. Now, people would say, well, your first break was Saturday Night Live, right? And listen, that's a huge break. But I never did stand-up comedy. I'd done a lot of theater. And I guess I was pegged for comedy, because I'd done SNL and I'd done a lot of comedies, right, TV shows. And so Avi had me come in to play this part of a prison guard with the singer Bjork, which Lars von Trier won the Palme d'Or in Cannes. And it was a very serious part in Dancer in the Dark. So that broke the mold for me to play serious roles. And then I got in The Negotiator, and I got in a lot of very serious films. So I was able to cross that line, which a lot of times you can't get out of that. If you're serious, people don't think you're funny. If you're funny, then people. So anyway, but what's great about this movie, I think you'll agree from seeing the trailer, is the family is really funny. And when I was growing up, funny was valued. Like, a lot of families are like, what were your grades? What were your grades? Right. My family was like, well, who told the funniest story at dinner? So this family in the movie is really funny, and they're harsh. Like, I go to call my son. They're like, Mom, come on. I'm like, shut up. Do what I say. I'm the mother. I'm the boss. And so, but then when the whole hell breaks loose, they're very supportive too, which makes the sad sadder and the funny funnier.
Right. Now, and then speaking of family and sons, your son is in the movie, and
my daughter.
He did the music. He helped coordinate the music for the film.
My son actually lives in Miami, and he has a production company called Legendary Goat Productions, and he's really into rap. He books a lot of rappers for events. He's headed to West Virginia University this weekend, actually, to do a big event with a lot of really famous rappers. One of Florida's great rappers, Fat Nick, is in the movie. He plays a drug dealer. He's awesome in the movie. So my son, he knew all this. I didn't know what kind of rap music kids liked that came blasting out of fraternities. As a matter of fact, my daughter's in it as well. She plays a sorority girl in it, and she's really good. When they came home to be in the film, we had shot a lot of the scenes, but we hadn't shot the fraternity house scenes. And the interior of the fraternity house is my house. So when you see the scene in the trailer of Jake Weary up high and he's the head of the fraternity in the robe, and the down below is the pledge. They're doing the pinning scene. That's my house. So the kids came home and I had decorated what I thought a fraternity looked like. And they're like, oh, for God's sake, absolutely not. So they took over and the extra frat boys are handpicked by my son and my daughter. Just like the people in the senator scene. When I, being that, I've worked so much in so many different films, Andy Davis is one of my all-time favorite directors. He directed The Fugitive with Harrison Ford. He directed me in Holes. And he and I have stayed in touch forever. He's a great guy. And I sent him the movie and he said, Siobhan, where did you get the extras? I said, they're friends. They're my friends and my kids' friends. So they're really good. I mean, and which, when you do an independent film where it sometimes can fall down is that the background people, the costumes aren't great, or they're kind of looking at the camera. They know what they're doing. But people really stepped up and did an unbelievable job.
That's great. And like I said, I absolutely love that it is a family affair. Mm-hmm. Although I guess if they have to do a good job because you don't want to fire your kids.
You can't fire your kids. And also you can't fire your husband. My house was an insane asylum. My driveway had like 4 gigantic trucks every single night and 6 porta potties. My husband herniated 2 discs in his back from moving the porta potties one night. And I was like, well, I don't know what you're going to do, but we're going to need those toilets tomorrow. You're going to have to get someone else. But so everybody helped. And so on August 27th, when the movie comes out and the premiere, like Jake Weary's coming back for the premiere, Fat Nick's coming up from Florida, a bunch of the rappers, Top Hill Fredo, and we're hoping, I think OG Macko is going to come. So we're, it's going to be like, this is your life for me because, we have got the red carpet and the premiere's already sold out. The show beforehand is already sold out and it's crazy. And so it's been 2 years and we sold it during COVID. And it's like, I feel like it's a miracle.
That's awesome. And one of my, and look at the IMDb, one of my good friends, Brian O'Halloran, is in the movie.
Oh, Brian's awesome. Brian plays the priest. Brian lives locally.
That I have to see.
Oh, from Clerks.
Brian as a priest is something I have to see.
Okay, so Brian O'Halloran, I live down in Rumson, New Jersey now. He's in Red Bank. He's famous, a cult figure for Clerks. And I met Brian at the Garden State Film Festival. I was getting an honor and he was getting an honor. And I met his mother, who's right from Ireland. And I was like, hey, listen, I'm doing a movie next year. I'd love you to be in it. And he's like, I'm all in. And it's a very small part. And he's the greatest guy. Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. So lucky to get Brian.
Now, I wonder how many people do you think, because one of your biggest, I guess it was a reoccurring bit, was the sorority sisters on SNL.
Yeah. So
how many people do you think are going to compare, be like, oh, wait a minute, she did this and now she's doing this?
People have asked me that. And, they're saying, oh, that's so strange. Did that come from that? I never even was in a sorority. I went to a little tiny Catholic college, Lemoyne College in Syracuse. And so they're completely unrelated, but it looks like I have some sort of recurring theme in my life. Right. And what's very funny, when I was in my 20s, I wrote a one-woman show. And I remember this reviewer said, the recurring theme in each character was very evident. And I was like, there was no recurring theme. I was just writing characters that I wanted to play and no one would cast me in.
One of my favorite characters that you have done, and I do have a reoccurring theme on this show, and that is that I have had lots of guests who appeared 1 time or 2 times on Golden Girls.
Oh,
and you appeared as consumer reporter Abby Wolf, got to work with Betty White and Estelle Getty. How was that? And that was like at the beginning of your career.
It was my very first TV show. I had no idea what I was doing. I'd done a ton of stage. I didn't know what I was doing with TV. And here's the thing. The Golden Girls was a huge hit, right? And I was playing Betty White's assistant. Right. She was the nicest person, is the nicest person. But when you're a guest on a show, a guest star, and you're on a show that everybody else are huge stars, the only person they can really direct is you. Because they can't, like the director, it's almost insulting to give too much direction. So I had so many notes. They're like, Siobhan, do this, Siobhan. And finally, when they shot it, I said, the hell with it. I'm going with my gut and I'm just going to do what I want. And You got to trust yourself at a certain point, just like anything else, especially with comedy. If basically, it's kind of pathetic, but if you're a comedic actress, you just want someone to tell you, oh, you're funny, you're funny, you're funny. And then the more someone's complimentary, the better you're going to be. The more notes you get, like, do this, do that, don't do this, then it sort of tears you down. So then when you're at that funny place in between, you have to say, hey, wait a minute. If I was funny in Guys and Dolls on stage in front of 200 people, I can do this in front of millions on TV. I just can't think that way. Like, right. It's funny. My daughter, Bernadette, writes for the New York Post, and she covers Cuomo. She broke the nursing home story, actually. And when she first got the job, she was only 23 years old. And when she first got it the first week, she was a little freaked out. I said, listen to me. When I got on Saturday Night Live, there was a while that I was a little freaked. I said, don't go there. Life is a big high school. Who cares if it's millions of people watching you or reading you or 20 people? People are people. Who cares what people think of you? When it's all over and you're pushing up the daisies, no one even cares who the hell they were. So just do what you know and don't get freaked out what people think of you. It's a stupid way to live. So I swear, if I could have done it over, I would have been, said, hey, you know what you're doing. Don't let somebody rattle your cage.
Right. And as a mother who has, children, I don't want to say following your footsteps, but going into the same business, going into that entertainment, the acting industry, what feedback, steps are you giving them that you wish that you would have had prior to getting into the entertainment business?
Well, honestly, first of all, it's kind of like as if, if someone had a pizza shop and someone knows how to make really good dough. It's like they've been on sets their whole life. So they're not like, oh my gosh, I'm on a set. I mean, when I first got on a set, I'm like, whoa, this is cool. Wow, look at the lights, look at the people. I had no idea TV audience was this small, or, like when you're in a movie set, it's just, you fake that you know stuff. They're like, could you move camera left? And camera left is really camera right. And you're like, listen, they'd be like, no. The thing is I think they're comfortable knowing it's normal, where I didn't know it was normal. So that's why now when I finally wrote my own movie, I know, like I said, how to treat the crew. I believe that it's like a play. I don't believe that actors are above the line and you should eat first. If the prop guy's ahead of you or the prop girl, go ahead of me. I don't care. We're all in this together, same project. So I believe you treat, first of all, you never get a swelled head and you never think, oh, aren't I something because I'm on TV or in a movie? Because let me tell you something. They could be done with you the next day. You know what I mean? Like, you could be your flavor of the month one month, and then the next year they think, people love to say, are you doing anything now? Oh, she must be finished. Never count anybody out. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely.
And also don't behave that way just because you think someday they're going to be somebody, because everybody is equally as important, no matter what their job is, or even if they don't have a job. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I have firsthand experience at that.
Yeah.
Now, how long after the Golden Girls, it wasn't too long after, you got into television, like you said, your first job with the Golden Girls, how long was it until you started working with SNL?
Well, you see, this is another piece of advice I give young actors. I'm very impatient. So I did the Golden Girl. Well, the reason why I got the Golden Girls is because I wrote a one-person show. So So I wrote this one-person show called Batgirl, because in upstate New York, there's a lot of bats. And so when I was a kid, we used to play tunnel tag, which is you play tag, but to free the person, you have to go through their legs, that you stand in a triangle. And there was always a story of this girl that had a bat stuck in her hair because they swoop down in the middle of it when it's dark out. So I always had a fear of that as a kid. So I played this character where she walked around with a sweatshirt on her head and sold her drawings door to door. And then I did all these other different characters. So I did it in LA and it got really good reviews. And so that's how I got it. A lot of people came and saw it. Like Seinfeld came and saw it, and SNL came and saw it. So I had this kind of, I would say it's lucky, but I also worked my rear end off. Like I did the show in like the lobby of a theater in San Diego. Then when it got it, and I handed out cards that said one woman show at the San Diego theater. Well, it was Sunday nights after the real show got out. It was smoke and mirrors, so we handed out cards. Then it went up to LA and I rented out a theater that was 80 seats. And at the time, I was teaching English as a second language to Japanese students. So my first weekend was full of my Japanese students who didn't understand anything that was going on. But they thought that I was funny because I used to make them learn like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and all nursery rhymes. And they were like in their 20s. There were these really wealthy kids from Japan. And so anyway, so then I got good reviews on that. And so that like I got on Seinfeld. And I mean, think about that. That was so lucky.
Right.
But I also worked like crazy to
absolutely
have it happen. And I slung a lot of hash in between.
that works. That works as well, man. That sounds. I mean, I love the hustle. I love the hey, it's at this theater. It's still technically there. It's after the show is over. There's going to be people there.
It's not. You're not lying. You're like, hey, listen, I'm doing this at the San Diego Theater. I'm doing this at Santa Monica Theater, and they're like, oh, it's Sundays and Mondays. Well, because that's when theaters are what they call dark and there's no shows there. So it looks like you're the headliner, but really you're throwing the theater like, hey, I'll give you $200 if you let me have your lobby. They're not even letting you have the friggin' theater. Right. You're taking like folding chairs and putting them up. And then the best part is when the reviewers come, you're like, hi, you want a seat? And they're like, aren't we going to the theater? I'm like, oh, no, I couldn't afford the theater. I'm in the lobby.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you've been writing for this long too, but it's not like, something you're like, oh, well, I haven't done anything in a while. COVID's happening. I might as well write. Oh yeah. So I have to ask about that. Working on a movie during COVID.
Well, we filmed 2 years ago, September. We edited. So that was the other thing. I never even thought about post-production. Our director, Vibeke Musaya, who's brilliant from Denmark, she did such a great job on the movie. And we filmed in New Jersey. The last 2 days we headed up to upstate New York where I grew up because I wanted to get the fall foliage, and I wanted to get the college look from up there.
Right.
So when we got to Binghamton, New York, which is about an hour and a half from where I live, she said, I can't believe we have an A-list movie and we don't have an A-list editor. And I was like, wait a minute, hang on 1 second here. I've been in this a long time. Think. Wait a minute. Bing. I was in a movie with Johnny Depp called The Professor that Wayne Roberts wrote and directed me in. And I played the secretary of a dean of a college, and I was supposed to have a drinking problem only 2 years before. The Professor came out like 2 years ago. So I called France to Sabine Emiliani. I'd never spoken to her. She'd always emailed me like, I'm editing your scene. It's hilarious. I can't believe it. You're so funny. So I called, hi, Sabine. This is Siobhan Fallon. Oh my God, I can't believe it. How are you doing? What are you doing? I can't believe we're talking. I said, listen, I wrote this movie. We're on 2 days to go. We need an editor. I have movie lined up. I can't edit it. I send her the script. She calls me and wakes me up because France is 6 hours ahead the next morning. She says, I'll postpone my project. It's a documentary. I will edit this movie. So we finish in November. She starts editing it on her own. I fly with Vibeke. Vibeke flies from Denmark, the director, to France. I'm in France January and February. It sounds very fancy, doesn't it?
Right.
Vibeke and I are sharing a bed and breakfast, not a bed and breakfast, a VRBO. I loved it. I love France, in Bordeaux, France. And I fly home March 1st. And I'm supposed to go back to Denmark to do the sound edit because Lars von Trier's fabulous music composer, Christian Eidnes Andersen, who did composed it, he wants me there for, all the looping and so COVID hits. I'm supposed to fly out March 13th and everything's canceled. And we do everything remotely, just like you and I are doing right now. I did the ADR, which is like, say the sound isn't right and there's interference of an airplane. I did all that on my phone, and it's crazy what we did. We finished the movie the end of May. Now we're supposed to go to festivals, Cannes Film Festival, Toronto. Well, they're all online. So forget that. Who the heck wants their movie to be seen online? So we now have to get a top sales agent, and we get the top. We get United Talent. It was so lucky. And then, now everything's really shut down, and I'm in the fetal position thinking this better sell because I owe a lot of people money, people that I, friends and crazy. So anyway, Vertical Entertainment picked it up for domestically, and Octane Entertainment picked it up for internationally. And now here we are, and we're 3.5 weeks away from opening on August 27th.
What a cool story. I mean,
and so in Florida, it's going to be in Kissimmee, like I told you. It's going to be in St. Pete's at the Greenlight Cinema. It's going to be in Sarasota, and there'll be more and more theaters it's going to be in. But in Florida, that's it for now. And then it'll be video on demand. However in God's name you do that on Apple and iTunes, and however you kids do that. I don't know.
Yes, I think it's on Apple and Amazon, which I think I do have subscriptions to both. So
yes, and iTunes and many video platforms. They told me to say it vertical. I go, what in the hell am I supposed to be saying to people? They go, I have to write this. I'm like my mother. I'm like video platforms, iTunes on the same day on August 27th.
Right. Yeah. That's very cool. That's very cool that it's finally all come. I mean, I've seen a lot of people have to do some really crazy things during these times. And I just have to give it to you for working through it, being able to produce a movie during these trying times. So
Milo, this is so weird. So when I finished May 30th, I'm lying in bed, and this sounds bizarre, and I sound like I'm a kook. This other idea comes to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because my father always wanted me to be a country singer. But I was like, Dad, I'm not a good enough singer. So, and my dad also was a lawyer, and I was kind of obsessed with prisons. So my next story has to do with that. And we like I said, we start shooting that 1 month to the day after Rushed opens. That's
again incredible. Hopefully things settle down. So it's not.
I know.
So doing the movie is not that tough. Now on your intro, again, I mentioned, if you have a TV, if you've watched television, you've watched movies, then people should know who you are. I mean, Men in Black, being the farmer's wife, that's a great character. But of course, Dorothy Harris, the bus driver from Forrest Gump. I mean, so that's a heart-touching character.
Yeah.
And then of course, Elaine's roommate Tina from Seinfeld. What do people, when they see you, when they meet you, and they go, "Oh, you're the girl from blah blah blah"? What is that blah 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 most of the time?
It's so strange and different, because I've done oddly a lot of kids movies too, because I did Holes, and I did
Holes with
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf, yes.
Yeah, and Henry Winkler. And so and then I did Charlotte's Web, and I did Daddy Daycare, and I did Fred. So kids will always say one of those. Now, I'll know if someone's kind of sophisticated if they know me from Lars von Trier's movies, like I did, The House That Jack Built with Matt Dillon, and I did Dancer in the Dark with Bjork, and I did Dogville with Lauren Bacall and Nicole Kidman. So if I know that they're into that kind of thing. So, but many people, then a lot of people know me from New in Town too, with Harry Connick Jr. and Renee Zellweger when I played, don't you know, the lady from Minnesota? So a lot of people love that. But I would say either SNL or Men in Black, Forrest Gump, I would say.
Right. And then you got a chance to work on what is perhaps one of the greatest shows of 2019, 2020. I don't know when the actual production is. Such an underground hit, and that is What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, get this one. So What We Do in the Shadows, when I played a bat exterminator.
Right, going back to the bats.
Justin Linville, who plays my son's roommate in the movie, is in the scene with me. I met him on that set. So I thought he was brilliant. And he was just a kid, 22 or something at the time, from Texas. And I got his number. I'm sure he's probably thought it was like some creepy lady, but even though we had a great time together. So I kept his number. And when I needed the nice roommate in this movie, Rushed, I said, Justin Linville. Well, guess what? Guess who knows how to pick talent? Me, because he is now He's in Paul Feig, Paul Feig,
Right.
all bridesmaids and, The Office.
Right.
Perhaps you've heard of it. He has a new sketch comedy show and Justin is in it. He was cast just after Rushed. Is that crazy?
I think you have, I would believe you have an eye for talent after all this.
So, but What We Do in the Shadows, I love that show.
And it just got picked up for another season.
Oh my gosh.
Or I think the season's gonna be released soon. So, I saw a preview for season 2 and I'm super excited.
Yeah, it is brilliant.
Gosh, I can't talk enough good things about What We Do in the Shadows. So, what I want to do now is go into the first of our 2 mini games here on the Milo Beasley Show. All right. So the first one here, let me pull up the first one is called the Milo Beasley Show Frequently Asked Questions. And these are going to be the same 5 questions that I have asked to all of my guests here on the show. All right. So there's no wrong answers. So first thing that comes to your head. Okay. Question number 1. Who was your first celebrity crush?
John Travolta from Room 222. No, not Room 222. From Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh, from Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh, I loved him. He was Vinny Barbarino. I was in love with him. I wrote it in my diary.
You wrote it in your diary?
She wrote it in hers too, and I read it at the dinner table, and I said, and she wrote, "Is it possible to love someone you don't know?" So at dinner, I said, "Dad, is it possible to love someone you don't know?" And she froze and went, "Ooh," because I read her diary. I was so mean.
That's so good. All right, question number 2. What is your guilty pleasure song? Like, what song do you absolutely love, but you don't care that maybe everybody else doesn't like it?
Oh, well, first of all, let me think about that. Let me think. Someone on the radio, Donna Summers.
Oh, that's oh yeah.
Wait, I can't. Oh, wait. I can't. I'm blanking on the name of the song. Someone on the radio. I can't remember the name of the song, Milo. I'm your first client interviewee that can't remember the name of the song because she's too elderly.
This is the question that most people go, "Oh my God, I don't know." So that's probably the hardest of the question. This is the question. My third question is the question that everybody says, maybe I chose the wrong platform to do an interview on, because this is if you had to, would you rather fight a giant horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
I'd rather fight 100 duck-sized horses, because that's weird. That's creepy and scary to think of a giant duck. And actually, last night I couldn't sleep, so I watched the first show of the first season of The Sopranos, and I was watching those ducks in that in the pool. And I'd rather have teeny tiny ducks, because ducks are kind of. I actually live on a pond, and ducks are gross.
And they have so many teeth. Nobody understands like what the inside of their mouths look like, but they have so many teeth.
Also, when I was in 3rd grade, my first field trip ever, because I lived in Syracuse and they moved to the country, Casanova, and we went on a field trip, and Andy Mastewart, my friend, who's still my friend, got too close and a duck bit him in the stomach.
In the stomach?
In the stomach, and it was really, really red, and I was like, "Ooh, that really hurt." That's not a nice duck. What's with the duck?
All right. Question number 4. What is your favorite movie quote?
My favorite movie quote. Oh, what's the movie with Alec Baldwin? I'm just thinking off the top of my head. And he rolls the car and he goes, "So that happened." I can't remember the movie.
I'm not sure the name of the movie, but that's a great quote.
Yes. That was but I can't remember the name of the movie. I'm not like a type of person that can remember things, apparently.
Right. All right. So question number 5. This is a new question I just added.
Okay.
kind of in the spirit of things going on right now. This is a fill in the blank. If blank was an Olympic sport, I would win a gold medal.
If melting chocolate chips in the microwave were an Olympic sport, I'd win a gold medal. I melt chocolate chips every single day at 2:00, dark ones, and then I eat them with a fork melted.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, my agent's assistant, Sean, calls me Chippy. He's like, what are you doing? I go, I'm eating melted chocolate chips.
Every day at 2:00?
Just about. Sometimes if it gets too hot in the summer, I'll have a popsicle instead. But I like to treat myself. I love sugar.
Who doesn't?
Sugar water.
I am a big fan of sugar. I am a big fan of cupcakes.
Oh, I know.
Cupcakes are a big weakness.
But I really just like the frosting. I'm still stuck in 5th grade. I really don't care about the cake. I just like the frosting, and I like the first little top of the cake, and then I just don't really care about the rest of it. Unless it's a Hostess Twinkie, and then I like Hostess cupcake. I like the inside.
Right. Oh, is that the ones that have like
cream?
Yeah, they have the cream in the middle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right. So then the next is going to be the next mini game, the Milo Beasley Show top 5. I ask you a random question, and you're going to give me your top 5 answers. No particular order, but since you went ahead and went there, we'll go ahead and elaborate a little bit more. So, top 5 desserts / snack foods.
Top 5 desserts / snack foods. Ready. Number 1, a brownie with chocolate chips in it that's not cooked all the way through. My sisters won't even let me make brownies because they're like, you never cook them. Number 2, chocolate chip cookies. Number 3, snickerdoodles. Number 4, ice cream with cookie dough. And number 5, a hodgepodge sundae.
Ooh, man, those are.
I really should weigh about 500 pounds.
I just made myself hungry with this interview.
I know.
It wasn't the direction that I was.
I might have to go to the ice cream shop after this.
Right.
Treat myself. To reward myself.
So you're in New York currently, correct?
I'm in New Jersey right now.
New Jersey currently.
Yes.
So what kept you in? I guess the short answer might be theater, but is there another reason why you stayed there and didn't encompass that Hollywood life?
I went to Hollywood for 2 years. I don't like being on the West Coast because I'm very close to my family, and I didn't like that idea of being a time so far away if I needed to get home.
Right.
And I'm an East Coaster, and like Hollywood, they care way too much about how they look, and they like to exercise a lot, and I'm really not interested in that. And I mean, I like to walk around the block with my dog, but that's about it. So, we like if you do a play out in LA or something, and then you want to go out at night,
right?
There's hardly anyone out. I remember my first St. Patrick's Day in New York City on St. Patrick's Day. You go, sometimes you could be out at 10 o'clock in the morning. Right. And so my friend PJ, who's PJ Clifton, he's a producer on the film. I went to Catholic U with him, and he's from New Jersey. We moved to LA together. And the first St. Patrick's Day, we went to the Irish bar and no one was there. And we went back at 2:00 and people were just starting to trickle in. I was like, this isn't going to work. This is not going to work. So I came back. Yeah, I lived in New York City a long, long time. And then when my oldest daughter was in 3rd grade, we moved to New Jersey.
Yeah, I've always lived on the East Coast. I'm an East Coaster. I've always lived down here.
Yeah.
Been up to New York, especially. I love upstate New York.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah,
I'm from Casanova.
Super beautiful. I filmed the movie up there, up in upstate, and I didn't realize, I'm a Floridian, so cut me some slack.
Yeah,
but there's 2 New Yorks.
Oh, absolutely. There's 2.
And I didn't realize it. I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, New York. You got to New York. But upstate was just.
It's God's country.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. It looks like Ireland. It's really beautiful. And the people, unbelievable. Beautiful. The people, see, my mom was from Chicago originally, and the people from upstate are kind of like Midwesterners. They're like really down to earth, great people. I'm not saying that New Yorkers aren't either. I love New Yorkers. New Yorkers will freaking tell you how it is, but it's 2 different things.
Yeah, That I'm going to agree with. Now, looking on, I think it was on your. I saw it somewhere online. But is it true that you're going to be in a brand new Clifford the Big Red Dog movie?
Well, Milo, yes. I am going to be in Clifford the Big Red Dog because Jordan Kerner, who's the producer, asked me to be in it, and he produced Charlotte's Web. You see, because this is where my recurring theme of being in children's movies. Yes. So Clifford the Big Red Dog, I am going to be in. Mm-hmm.
That sounds fun. I don't know if there's been. It's live action?
It's live with the giant dog is I guess that's live action. Is that what you call it?
Right. Well, yeah, live action. Yeah, I think with like a little bit of CGI, kind of like a Garfield.
CGI. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah.
CGI. Yes. It's really, really, really good.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to that. I was always a big Clifford fan. Mm-hmm. So before we wrap up, I do want to talk about two things. One, cameo.
Yes.
Cameo. Yes.
I had to do two of them today. So, and that's funny too, because I do cameos because my son made me. He's like, Mom, why don't you do cameos? I'm like, what's a cameo? I didn't even know what it was. So, the people tonight were like, it's my husband's birthday and he loves your character from Men in Black. Could you please tell him the skin is falling off his bones? Or like the other one was like, it's my sister's anniversary. Could you please say that's where there's a buzzer from Seinfeld? So people are always asking me to do these different things. And that was really fun during COVID. Well, what's really funny is not just doing the cameos, but it's having my husband tape me and we didn't even know how we're doing it. We're like, did it upload? We don't even know what we're doing. That's the show within the show.
Right. Yeah. If you could somehow film yourself trying to film them.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's pathetic. It's like two dinosaurs.
And then the other, which should be another fun thing, social medias. Where are you at on the social medias? Where is Rushed at on the social medias?
You can follow the movie at Rushed Movie on Instagram. We're on IMDb, Rushed Movie. We're on all kinds of YouTube channels. The trailer, Rushed Movie 2021. We are on Facebook, Rushed Movie. We're on Twitter. And yeah, we're all over the place.
All right. So yes, the movie comes out, Rushed comes out Friday, August 27th. Again, let's give it one last. Why should somebody go see this movie?
If you like thrillers, and if you are from the age of 15 to just got out of college, or you've ever been to college, the young crowd loves the movie. I've pre-screened it. The older crowd, my age, anybody who's got kids going off to college, or anybody who's ever been a parent or has a niece or nephew, right, and you know how kids torture you. There's two huge audiences for this movie. And I'll tell you what, it's an hour and a half. And when you watch it, it doesn't stop moving. There's twists and turns at every step of the way.
Awesome. And I have a feeling mothers are going to really love this movie.
Mothers are going to go crazy.
That's a good demographic to go after. Mothers.
Yes.
Crazy mothers.
Crazy mothers and college kids are going to go bonkers.
Fantastic. All right. Anything to say before we wrap up?
Thank you, Milo. Thanks so much for having me on. I just really, really appreciate it. And I hope everyone goes to Kissimmee to the SMG at the Margaritaville movie theater and sees the movie on August 27th.
Absolutely. You know what? I'm going to be there. So guys, come join me. I have the website up right here. I'm going to buy my tickets. Awesome. And so again, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you everybody for watching. Go see Rushed, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome. God bless Florida.